Luminosity TV. My name is Sylvia Emisheti. When I was growing up in Nigeria, one of the very popular expressions in the local pidgin English, as we call it, was this question: you no get shame. And that simply meant, aren't you ashamed of yourself? And this will usually act as a check for us so that you don't end up doing something silly. So I realized that having a feeling of shame was a good thing back then. In fact, one of the things we used to tease each other about as young girls was, if they pay you $1 million, will you take your clothes off? And $1 million was like the biggest amount of, the biggest amount of money we could conceive at the time. And even then, girls would say, never, never in a million years. I wonder what young women of today will say. Because you probably won't even need to offer them $1 million, maybe just 100,000. And there'll be a long queue of ladies waiting to take their clothes off. So one thing is for sure in today's world, we have lost our sense of shame. And women are at the forefront of this loss. So it begs the question, where did our morality go? How is it that we now have no inhibitions? Why has the scale for our ethical standards dropped so low? And who amongst us still has that feeling of shame that we can say, oh no, I can't do this. This is beneath me. I can't dare be seen as doing that. Today's society is pushing, they're shoving you, and it's almost like they're daring you. How low can you go? This sense of shame has become a missing component in most human beings of today, both men and women. So it's not restricted to just the women alone. We have let ourselves go. We have replaced it with pride and vanity. We call it freedom, freedom of expression. We hide it under different guises. For instance, science, philosophy, modern art. Someone will pose nude in the name of artistic expression. And it will seem so normal to the rest of us. We've seen it in fashion, celebrities on the red carpet all day, every day. I will know, I've been a victim of that fashion until I actually decided enough was enough. Because you know what? If you even try to retain a bit of your dignity, you'll look like the odd one out. And it takes mental courage to constantly remind yourself who you are and who you want to be. Because almost everything and everyone around you condones the idea. You see it in your everyday life, what we wear, how we dance, how we speak. You see it in music videos, in movies. You see it as you walk by on the streets. We have lost something that is so vital for our spiritual maturity. It doesn't take long before the idea starts floating in your head. Don't worry, just let your guard down. There are no inhibitions here. It's a free country, so be free. Come on, don't be the odd one out. Don't be the spoil sport. They'll even chant your name to lure you into letting your guard down. Go, Sylvia, go, you can do it. But listen, I'm going to tell you something that's straight up and true, whether you believe it or not. In fact, you may not like it and it may trigger you. But in our world today, triggers are a good thing. It means that something is waking you up to re-examine your actions and everything that's going on around you, just like it did for me. So here goes. Did you know that the greater the feeling of shame is in you, the higher you are ranked spiritually? I know that sounds confusing, so let me say that again so it sinks in this time. Your inner spiritual worth can be measured by the degree or the level of your physical shame. It's actually a wonderful gift that you've been given, like a built-in mechanism that's supposed to help us throughout our maturing in this creation. So to be tricked into giving away your sense of shame in exchange for this assumed freedom that we all want is actually a shortchange. That is why I had to get my change back. I had overpaid. And it was time to return whatever freedom I thought I was getting in exchange for my sense of shame. You're not living in bondage. You're a free-spirited human being. You're already free. Free in the sense that you've been given the gift of free will to be able to make decisions and bear the consequences of those decisions, unlike an animal who doesn't have a free will. So only a deteriorated and watered down humanity that we will want to lose that very gift that they've been given by their creator as a defense mechanism from any temptations. Something that was meant to check us and act as a barrier so that we don't fall into that temptation. I'm sure that at some point in your life, you've experienced a time where you actually did something that you were seriously ashamed of, and deep down in your intuition, you knew it didn't feel right, but you still went ahead and did it, and you experienced that feeling of shame, which isn't a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. But your ego quickly convinced you it's okay. It's not that bad after all. You're a big girl or a big boy. Expressing yourself freely is a good thing. You've come of age. So why not let the world know that you're mature now? When in actual fact, deep down, you were so disgusted by it. This happened to me a lot as a young person until I learned to start making better choices for myself, because everything you do that is in contradiction with what your spirit wants always creates an imbalance in your mind and in your body, which can then later manifest as trauma or disease in your life. So these moments of disgust, believe it or not, is a good thing, because not until I started to feel disgusted with some of my actions did I realize that certain things are beneath me and I don't have to do them. And then I started to value myself more by engaging in only the actions that would pull me up rather than pull me down. And only then could I make better changes for myself. And this is how maturity sets in. And it has nothing to do with age, but everything to do with retaining one's feeling of shame. So don't lose yourself in this cunning world where the ego wants you to be free of the actual thing that makes you spiritually worthy. Because at the end of the day, that freedom will only buy you one thing and one thing only: a very unhappy soul. And no one wants that. Until next time, remember this: when you find yourself doing something that's beneath you and that is detrimental to your soul, just ask yourself that question we used to ask in Nigeria back then. Get shame. Bye for now.